PlayStation Portal. Last year, everyone was talking about it. After the new updates it recently got, it basically changed the whole game of this thing. It went from being a remote play only device for the PS5 to being its own standalone handheld gaming device. So, what changed? With the latest updates, you're now able to stream games straight from the Portal. And you don't even need to own a PS5. A $200 handheld gaming device that lets you stream PlayStation games without owning a PS5? Sounds a little too good to be true. So I got one, to see if it's actually worth it. So I spent about a month with the Portal, and I've brought it basically everywhere, across many countries, and boy oh boy, did this thing surprise me. Today I want to give you my thoughts on the PlayStation Portal and what 1 month with the PlayStation Portal basically looked like. After I got it, the setup was pretty straightforward. I took it out of the box, signed into my PlayStation account, installed some updates, and I was good to go. If you plan on using cloud streaming, you will need the highest tier of the PS Plus subscription service, which is the PS Plus Premium. Once I connected the Portal to my home Wi-Fi, my first impressions were pretty positive. The display looked very good for its size, the buttons felt right, and the build was pretty solid. The PlayStation Portal is basically a DualSense controller with a screen attached to it. The Portal has an 8-inch 1080p LCD display, colors and contrasts are great, you get everything the regular DualSense controller has, haptics, gyros, and adaptive triggers. The Portal is pretty lightweight, and the grip on this thing feels very comfortable. So if you really like how the DualSense controller feels, the Portal is no different. The battery life is great as well. I've been using the Portal for a solid amount of hours on a single charge. The Portal doesn't get hot. Since most of the work is being done on the cloud, means the device stays cool and comfortable to use. This makes the battery life last a lot more longer in my opinion. Charging with USB-C has been so convenient and it's pretty quick. Loading times are very quick because the games run on servers. No downloads are needed, gone are the long hours of waiting before you can finally play a game. You can just hop in and start playing. That's a big convenience in my opinion. However, with cloud streaming, I did notice some input latency. It's not huge, but you can feel it in very high responsive games. For slower paced story-driven games like God of War, Cyberpunk, Spider-Man, the experience has been great. For competitive shooter games or anything where frames and input timing matter a lot, I wouldn't choose the Portal. The speakers are okay for casual use. So far, I haven't needed to use headsets for indoors, but when in public, I would recommend headsets for better audio. One limitation, and it turned out to be a big problem for me, is the Bluetooth support. The Portal only supports PlayStation's Pulse headsets, which means you can't pair any other off-brand earbuds or headsets through Bluetooth. I don't own any of Sony's gaming headsets or earbuds, so it was kind of a pain. At some points I really wanted to connect some earbuds or headsets because I didn't want to disturb my surroundings every time I hopped on the game. The Portal does come with a headphone jack, but for me it wasn't very convenient. I don't like my headsets wired, and I don't really like any wires dangling around. One other problem. I mean, for me it's not necessarily a problem, but it can be for some people. And that's paying for PS Plus. And if you want to use this device as a standalone device, you're not paying for the cheapest tier of PS Plus. You need the highest and more expensive PS Plus Premium subscription to enable cloud streaming, which costs $160 a year. And do I think it's worth paying for? Honestly, no. I mean, if you're only gonna use a PS Portal, I don't think the subscription is worth it. If you own a PS5 on the other hand, it's a whole other story. If you combine the PS5 with the Portal, you will see the benefits in having PS Plus Premium. With PS Plus Premium, you can stream a great variety of games from Sony's servers and games you own on your purchase libraries. Do keep in mind that not all games support cloud streaming, so before you buy a game, please check first to see if it supports cloud streaming. I tested a mix of titles from the PS Plus catalog and my own library. They all stream pretty well. Visuals were pretty good, and the fact that I didn't have to download any games was refreshing. WWE 2K25 and eFootball gave me some trouble due to input latency. I then instantly knew I had to give up my hopes on multiplayer games. Another real-world issue was connecting to a hotel or public Wi-Fi. The portal did have some trouble with certain verified public networks that require extra verification steps. Sony has addressed some of these issues in recent updates and claimed that they've somewhat fixed this issue. I tried this and unfortunately it did not work for me. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but for some reason I couldn't set up Wi-Fi networks that required extra verification. I scanned QR codes, tried it on my phone, I just couldn't get it set up. So it didn't work, for me at least. Alright, let's talk money. The portal is about $200. To get the cloud streaming experience, you need PS Plus Premium, which costs about $160 a year. That is an ongoing cost. For people who already have PS Plus Premium, the $200 device unlocks a lot of value. For buyers who don't like subscriptions, the portal can still work as a remote play controller, if you own a PS5 of course. If you care about instant access to a large game catalog and you travel or play on the go, the subscription can be worth it. If you're just looking for a handheld device to play a few single player games, you might compare it to other devices like a Steam Deck or a Switch. However, these will cost a bit more than the portal. But in reality, the portal can end up being more expensive through the years. So to recap, I want to go over the pros and cons of the portal. Some of the pros are, the portal is great for its size and feels very comfortable. The 1080p display looks gorgeous, it's crisp and looks amazing on this handheld device. Cloud streaming means no downloads and instant access to many games, so no more longer waiting times before you're able to play your favorite game. The device stays cool since the heavy lifting is being done on the cloud. The battery life is exceptional, it's very portable so you can basically bring this thing anywhere as long as you have Wi-Fi. And now for the PlayStation Portal cons you should consider before buying. The PS Portal requires PS Plus Premium for true standalone cloud use, which can be expensive for some unless you see the benefits in it. If not, it's not for you. Input latency makes it a poor choice for competitive gaming, so if you really depend on low latency inputs for competitive games, you will have a rough time. Story-driven games is where it's at. I mean, I've seen people have some good results on multiplayer games, but for me that wasn't the case. Bluetooth support is limited, so off-brand Bluetooth headsets or earbuds won't pair. You can only use PlayStation's headsets or earbuds. You will be dependent on stable and fast internet, so without it, you will have a rough time using the portal. And if you don't have internet, you're basically cooked. It's not a full entertainment device, so no streaming movies, listening to music, or browsing the internet. This device is purely made for gaming, nothing else. I hope they add this feature later on, maybe on a newer PSP, who knows. For now, this is all we got. So who should buy the PlayStation Portal? You should buy it if you want a compact PlayStation experience and don't mind paying for PS Plus Premium. You travel a lot and have access to good internet. You want a simple way to play PlayStation games away from your TV. Or you enjoy single player games or trying to get into some more story-driven games instead of multiplayer. Here are a few tips that might make your PlayStation Portal experience feel a bit better. You should try using a stable 5G Wi-Fi network as much as possible for the best performance. You can try lowering the stream resolution from 1080p to 720p in the settings if you're noticing any stutters. And before you decide to buy a PS Portal, you should check the PS Plus catalog to see if they have the games you really care about, because titles do rotate from time to time. All I can say is lately, PlayStation's catalog are no joke if I'm being honest. So what's my verdict? For the price, compared to other handheld devices, I still think the PlayStation Portal is totally worth it. If you own a PS5. If you're looking for a handheld PlayStation experience and you can meet the internet and subscription requirements, this will be the best option PlayStation has to offer. For now. I'm not sure when or if they ever will release a true PSP like back in the days, but for now, this will do. It's not perfect, but it solves my gaming needs at least. It's a practical and somewhat of an affordable way to play big PlayStation titles away from your TV when it's being occupied. It's perfect for traveling, for story-driven gamers, or for those who are considering getting into some story-driven games or PlayStation exclusive titles. So what do you think about the PlayStation Portal? If you already own one, please tell me in the comments how your experience has been with the PlayStation Portal. And I would like to know what you think about the new updates and cloud streaming. Did you notice any latency in certain games? I want to hear all about it. If you like this review, please hit that like button. I have more PlayStation content coming soon, so be sure to follow or subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.